If you follow the geopolitical standoff between China and the US, you've definitely heard about rare earth elements. A lot of people buy into this popular narrative that China holds a total monopoly on rare earth refining and that the US simply lacks the lab tech to process them. Well, here's a huge misconception. US labs are already capable of 6th-level high-purity refining. The technical barrier itself isn't the real roadblock. Today, we're breaking down why rare earths have become such a critical geopolitical battleground, what the actual traps are for the US trying to scale domestic production, and what this all means for future military capabilities and the global power balance. Rare earths sit right at the heart of US-China competition. Lab-scale capability is one thing, but large-scale industrial mass production is an entirely different ballgame. What's holding America back isn't money, environmental regulations, or even political pushback. The real bottleneck lies in institutional structures and the full industrial supply chain. Take gallium as an example. Gallium is a byproduct from aluminum manufacturing. You cannot mine gallium directly. You only get tiny trace amounts when you mass-produce aluminum feedstock. Building a fully self-sufficient domestic gallium supply chain would come with an absolutely staggering price tag. You need bauxite mines, dedicated transport networks, complete production lines, plus purpose-built power plants. Total estimated costs could hit $1.3 trillion. Yet this entire supply chain only generates roughly $12.8 billion in annual revenue. Do the math, and you're looking at a payback period of nearly 100 years. To make things worse, those intermediate alumina products don't have much commercial demand on the open market. Global markets simply cannot absorb that level of output. Even if the US tries to rally its allies, this brutal economic reality can't be fixed just by teaming up with partner nations. So what options does the US actually have? Should China tighten rare earth export controls? Broadly speaking, there are two paths. First, the US could choose to tough it out, pour massive amounts of capital into building up its domestic supply chain. That would burn through huge resources and slow down its military modernization timeline. Second, Washington could opt for compromise, roll back some tariffs, and end parts of the trade war, resetting the relationship to a more level playing field. That would buy China valuable time to push ahead and crack 5-nanometer chip technology. Let's compare each side's core challenges. For China, the 5-nanometer chip problem is fundamentally a technical challenge. Given enough time, it's a hurdle that can potentially be overcome, and failure here would not deliver a fatal blow to either its military or civilian economy. For the United States, however, rare earth supply is an institutional and supply chain problem. Even building coalitions won't resolve it at its root. America's next-generation military hardware, 6th-generation fighter jets, railguns, hypersonic missiles, all heavily rely on rare earth materials. Without stable rare earth supplies, much of that cutting-edge R&D risks grinding almost to a halt. Now let's look ahead at the military timeline. One reasonable forecast points to this. By 2029, China's 6th-generation fighter jets could enter active service, while America's 6th-gen program will most likely remain largely at the concept stage. If that plays out, China would gain operational air superiority across the Western Pacific, forcing the US to fall back toward the Eastern Pacific. On Western Pacific strategy, Taiwan is a core, inherent Chinese national interest, yet it is not an issue that absolutely has to be resolved immediately. If the US uses Taiwan as a bargaining chip in geopolitical games, it actually gives China solid justification to scale up its military buildup. Even if the US goes Allen with national-level effort, fully building out its complete rare earth supply chain would take at least 5 years. Inside that 5-year window, China is projected to launch its 4th aircraft carrier and field its 6th-generation fighter jets. Time itself becomes an incredibly important strategic variable. This is far more than just a fight over mineral resources. It is a contest between financial power and industrial manufacturing capacity. Think about this. Across trade rivalries throughout history, financially driven nations have a really tough time beating countries with strong manufacturing bases. Rare earths are way more than fancy metallic powders. They lay bare exactly how industrial chain realities can reshape the global balance of power. Drop a comment down below. What shifts do you expect to see in this rivalry over the next 5 years? If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit like and subscribe for more hard-hitting geopolitical analysis.